The Pendant. The restaurant was packed that night. Voices filled the air, the clinking of glasses mixed with laughter, and the smell of grilled steak and roasted garlic carried through every corner. Anna, a young waitress, moved quickly between tables. She tried to keep a smile on her face even though her legs ached and her manager's sharp eyes never left her. She had been working double shifts for weeks, saving every coin she could. Her mother's medical bills were piling up and her younger brother still needed money for school supplies. Anna never complained. She told herself that as long as she kept her head down and worked hard, things would eventually get better. But that night, everything changed. At table 9 sat a group of wealthy businessmen. They were loud, demanding, and rude. When Anna brought their order, one of them complained that his drink was not cold enough. Another laughed and made a cruel joke about her cheap shoes. Anna swallowed her pride, apologized, and hurried to fix the problem. But her manager, Mr. Douglas, had already noticed. He marched across the floor, his voice rising above the music. "Anna, how many times have I told you to pay attention? This place has a reputation and you are ruining it." Everyone stopped eating. All eyes turned to Anna as her face burned with shame. "Sir, I can fix it right away," she whispered, her voice trembling. But Mr. Douglas would not stop. "Fix it? You can't fix clumsy hands or a careless mind. You are finished here. Take off your apron and leave. Now." The room fell silent. Anna's fingers shook as she untied the apron. She wanted to beg, to explain how much she needed this job, but the words stuck in her throat. Her vision blurred with tears as she placed the apron on the counter. The businessmen laughed quietly. A few customers turned away, embarrassed for her. And then, someone stood up. From the corner table, a man in a simple black jacket rose to his feet. People recognized him instantly. Whispers spread through the restaurant like fire. "Is that Keanu Reeves?" Keanu had been sitting quietly, eating alone, unnoticed by most. But now his eyes were locked on Anna. There was something strange in the way he looked at her. Not pity, not anger, but shock. His gaze dropped to the small pendant around her neck. Anna clutched it without thinking. It was the only thing she had left of her mother's past. A tiny silver charm shaped like a crescent moon. Keanu froze where he stood. His face went pale, and for a moment, he could not speak. The manager frowned, confused. "Mr. Reeves, is there a problem?" Keanu's voice was calm, but his words carried weight. "Yes, there is a problem. Why did you fire her in front of everyone?" The room held its breath. "She embarrassed the restaurant," the manager snapped. Keanu shook, his head slowly, his eyes never leaving Anna. "No. What embarrassed this restaurant was the way you treated her. No one deserves that." Anna's heart pounded. Why was he defending her? And why did he look at her pendant as if it meant something to him? Before anyone could answer, Keanu stepped forward. He placed a gentle hand on Anna's shoulder. "What's your name?" Anna," she whispered. His eyes softened, though the shock in them remained. "Anna," he repeated quietly, as if the name itself carried memories. "Where did you get that pendant?" Anna's breath caught. The question was so sudden, so personal, that she didn't know how to respond. It belonged to my mother." The entire restaurant was silent, waiting. Keanu's expression changed. Pain flickered across his face, mixed with something deeper. "Recognition," he whispered almost to himself. "It can't be. The pendant. Anna, the cruel firing. The room full of strangers watching. None of it made sense to her yet. But for Keanu Reeves, a hidden truth had just come alive in front of everyone. And in that moment, Anna's life was no longer the same. The secret in the silver pendant. Anna stood frozen, her hand clutching the pendant as if it could shield her from the stares of the entire restaurant. She could not understand why Keanu Reeves, a man she had only seen in movies and headlines, was looking at her as though he knew her. The manager tried to regain control. "Mr. Reeves, this is none of your concern. Please sit back down. This girl was careless, and my restaurant demands better." But Keanu did not move. His calm voice carried across the room. No, this is my concern now. You humiliated her in front of everyone for something that did not deserve humiliation. And that pendant she wears, it matters. Anna blinked, her tears drying for a moment. Matters? What do you mean? Keanu's eyes softened as he turned to her. Where did your mother get it? Anna hesitated. It felt strange to share such personal history in a room full of strangers, but something in his voice pushed her to answer. She said it was given to her by someone she once helped, a long time ago. She never told me the name, only that the person promised it would bring us protection in hard times. Keanu's chest rose and fell heavily, as though the air itself had grown heavy. His mind drifted back to years ago, a memory he had locked away. Was your mother's name Elena? He asked quietly. Anna's eyes widened. Yes. How do you know her name? The room filled with gasps. The businessmen who mocked her earlier now sat silently, realizing something important was unfolding. Anna's knees grew weak. Her mother's name on his lips felt unreal. You knew her? Keanu closed his eyes for a moment, as if steadying himself against a flood of emotions. I did. Many years ago. Your mother saved my life. Anna's breath caught. The words did not make sense. Her mother had lived a quiet life, working odd jobs, raising her children with love but little else. How could she have saved the life of one of the most famous actors in the world? I was in a dark place, Keanu said, his voice low but clear. I had lost someone very close to me. I was broken, empty, and ready to give up. I sat alone on a cold night, and no one noticed me. Except her. Your mother sat beside me even though she didn't know who I was. She told me that pain doesn't mean the end. She gave me that pendant and said, when you forget hope, hold this. It will remind you someone cared. The entire restaurant was silent. Even the waiters had stopped moving, listening to every word. Tears welled in Anna's eyes. She remembered her mother sitting by the window holding the pendant, whispering that it had been a gift from someone she once helped. But Anna never imagined it was tied to Keanu Reeves. Keanu turned to the manager. His calmness carried a force that words alone could not describe. You fired the daughter of a woman who once saved me, and you did it without dignity in front of strangers. You should be ashamed. Mr. Douglas's face turned red. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Then Keanu looked at Anna again, his gaze gentle. Your mother was a light in the darkest night of my life. And now, seeing you wear that same pendant, it feels like fate brought me here tonight. Anna's tears finally fell, but this time, they were not only from pain. There was a strange comfort in knowing that her mother's kindness had left a mark on someone else's heart, even someone as distant as Keanu. I didn't know, Anna whispered. Keanu gave a small nod. Sometimes we don't know how much good our loved ones left in the world, but I do, and I will not let her daughter stand here humiliated. A murmur spread across the restaurant. People whispered about how fate could tie strangers together across time. And then came the twist. One of the businessmen at table 9, the same man who mocked her shoes earlier, cleared his throat. If what you're saying is true, then maybe this girl has more value than she shows. But she's still clumsy. Look at her. Do you really believe she belongs here among people like us? His cruel words cut deep, and for a second Anna's chest ached with the same shame as before. But Keanu's expression hardened. He stepped closer to the businessman and said quietly, "Be careful with your words. You judge people by their shoes. I judge people by their heart. And if you knew what real value was, you'd already be apologizing." The man swallowed hard, shifting uncomfortably in his seat. Anna felt her heart beating fast. Never in her life had anyone stood up for her this way. But what shook her even more was the unspoken truth. If her mother had not sat by Keanu on that forgotten night years ago, this moment would never exist. The pendant glimmered under the soft lights, and Anna touched it again, feeling its weight, differently now. But as comforting as Keanu's words were, Anna's reality still pressed heavily. She was fired. Her mother's medical bills waited at home, and kindness alone would not pay them. As if sensing her thoughts, Keanu said softly, "Anna, I don't think tonight is the end of your story. It feels like it's just beginning." He looked at her with quiet determination. "And I will help you, because your mother once helped me." Anna's world had been falling apart only minutes ago. Now, with everyone watching, a door she never expected had opened. And yet somewhere in the shadows of the restaurant, a man sitting at the bar watched them with cold eyes. He lifted his phone, snapped a picture of Keanu holding Anna's shoulder, and sent it to someone unknown. The story of Anna the Pendant and Keanu Reeves was about to spread far beyond that restaurant. And not all of it would be kind. The photo that changed everything. The night at the restaurant ended with whispers chasing Anna as she walked out beside Keanu. Her heart was still pounding. Only an hour earlier she had been humiliated, stripped of her job, and left with nothing but shame. But now Keanu Reeves, the man whose life her mother had once touched, walked next to her as if she mattered. "Where do you live?" he asked gently as they stepped into the cool night air. Anna hesitated. She didn't want him to see the tiny broken apartment she shared with her sick mother and younger brother, but there was something in his voice that felt safe. "Just a few blocks away," Keanu nodded. "Let me walk with you." They moved down the quiet street, the sound of their footsteps echoing softly. Anna held the pendant, still trying to process everything. "So, you really knew my mother?" Keanu's eyes grew distant. "I didn't just know her. I owed her. Back then, I was on the edge of giving up. She saved me with nothing more than kindness. She never asked for anything. Seeing you tonight, it feels like she sent me a reminder not to forget what truly matters." Anna lowered her gaze, her throat tight. "She never told me it was you. She only said she once helped someone who was lost." Keanu smiled faintly. "That sounds like her." They walked in silence for a while, but neither noticed the shadow moving on the other side of the street. The man from the restaurant bar was still following, his phone glowing in his hand. By the next morning, Anna's world had shifted again. Her phone buzzed constantly. At first, she ignored it, but when her younger brother rushed in with wide eyes, holding his tablet, she froze. "Anna, look!" he cried. On the screen was a headline. "Hollywood star Keanu Reeves seen leaving restaurant with young waitress after public confrontation." Below it, photos showed Keanu's hand resting gently on Anna's shoulder, her tear-streaked face turned up toward him, the pendant shining against her chest. Anna's stomach dropped. "No. Oh no." The article twisted everything. It claimed Anna had staged the whole scene for attention, that she was another woman trying to take advantage of Keanu's kindness. Comments flooded in beneath the story. Some defended her, but many were cruel, calling her names, mocking her clothes, her background, even her mother. Anna's hands shook as she read. "They think I'm a liar. They think I planned this." Her mother, weak but alert, reached out from the bed and took her hand. "Don't read those things, my child. The truth will shine through." But Anna couldn't ignore the fear rising in her chest. She had lost her job. Now her name was spreading across the internet in ways she never asked for. Then came a knock at the door. Anna opened it, and there stood Keanu. No cameras, no assistants, just him. "I'm sorry," he said immediately. "I didn't think it would spread like this, but I promise you, you are not alone." Anna shook her head, her eyes filling again. "They're saying horrible things. They don't know me. They don't know my mother." Keanu stepped inside, his voice steady. "Let them talk. They don't matter. What matters is the truth. I'll make sure they hear it." But before Anna could answer, her phone rang again. This time, it wasn't a reporter or a stranger. It was her former manager, Mr. Douglas. She answered cautiously. "Hello?" His voice was sharp, almost smug. "Anna, do you know what trouble you've caused? Reporters are camped outside the restaurant. My business is being dragged into this, and it's all because of you." Anna's grip on the phone tightened. "Me? You humiliated me in front of everyone." He laughed coldly. You think anyone cares about that? You're nothing. You'll never work in this city again. Not after the way people see you now. Tears burned in her eyes. Why are you doing this? Because people like you, he sneered, don't belong around people like us. Enjoy your 15 minutes of shame. He hung up. Anna's hand trembled as she lowered the phone. Keanu's face hardened. He shouldn't have said that, Keanu muttered. He thinks power comes from stepping on others. But I've learned the opposite. Power comes from lifting people up. Anna's mother spoke from her bed, her voice weak but steady. Keanu, you were given light when I handed you that pendant. Now my daughter needs the same light. Keanu met Anna's eyes. Then that's what I'll give her. But as he said it, another danger loomed. Unknown to both of them, the man who leaked the photo was already on the phone with someone else. Someone who wanted to dig deeper into Anna's past, to uncover secrets that could break her completely. The pendant had brought Anna and Keanu together, but it had also drawn the world's eyes, and not all of them looked with kindness. Shadows from the past. The next morning, Anna woke to the sound of voices outside her apartment. When she pulled the curtain back, her breath caught. A crowd of reporters stood in the street, cameras flashing, microphones raised. Her name echoed through the air like a storm she could not control. Anna, are you Keanu Reeves' new girlfriend? Did you plan the restaurant scene to get attention? What's the story behind that pendant? Her younger brother hid in the corner, frightened. Her mother coughed softly, her face pale. Anna's heart raced. She felt trapped. Keanu arrived soon after, his calm presence cutting through the chaos. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Anna, don't open it for them. They'll twist every word you say. Let me handle this. Anna shook her head. Why is this happening to me? I didn't ask for any of it. Keanu's eyes softened. Sometimes the world punishes the innocent because they make others uncomfortable, but you're stronger than you know. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed with a new notification. An article had just been published online. The headline made her stomach twist. Waitress's dark past revealed. The truth behind Anna Elena's family. Anna clicked, her hands shaking. The article dragged out her private struggles. It mentioned her mother's illness, her father leaving years ago, their unpaid debts, even the eviction notice they had once narrowly avoided. Worst of all, it mocked her for being a girl from the gutter pretending to belong beside a Hollywood star. Anna's vision blurred with tears. They're digging into my life. They're shaming my family. Keanu's jaw tightened. This isn't journalism. This is cruelty. They're trying to break you because you remind them of what kindness looks like. And people who profit from cruelty fear kindness the most. Anna wiped her tears, but the words from the article burned deep. She thought about the cruel things her former manager had said about how the world saw her now. Maybe they were right. Maybe she didn't belong anywhere near Keanu. Maybe you should leave, she whispered. Before this ruins you too. Keanu stepped closer, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Anna, listen to me. Your mother saved me once, and now I won't abandon her daughter. I don't care what they say. I care about the truth. And the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. Anna's mother, listening from her bed, spoke weakly. He's right, Anna. Storms will come, but storms also pass. Hold on. The room fell silent. Anna wanted to believe, but the fear in her heart was heavy. Then another knock rattled the door. This time it was not reporters. It was harder, colder, more deliberate. Keanu opened it cautiously. Standing there was a tall man in a gray suit. His expression was sharp, his eyes cold. Anna Elena? He asked, ignoring Keanu. Yes? Anna said nervously. He handed her an envelope. You've been served. Your landlord wants immediate payment for 3 months of overdue rent, or you and your family will be removed in 7 days. Anna's knees nearly gave out. What? That's not possible. I've been paying what I can. The man gave a small, cruel smile. What you can is not enough. 7 days. That's all. He turned and left, leaving the weight of his words behind. Anna clutched the envelope, her whole body shaking. I can't do this anymore. First the humiliation, then the headlines, and now this. Everything is falling apart. Keanu took the paper from her hands gently. Anna, you are not alone in this, not anymore. They want you to feel powerless. But you have more strength than they realize, and I promise I'll stand with you. But even as he spoke, Anna's fear grew. She remembered the cold eyes of the man who had served the papers. She remembered the cruel laughter of her former manager. She remembered the venom of strangers online. The storm was not ending. It was only getting stronger, and in the background, the same shadowy man who leaked the photo watched from a distance, speaking quietly into his phone. She's cracking, keep the pressure on. The pendant is the key, and once we get it, everything will change. The pendant. Anna touched it again, confused and afraid. She did not know why strangers cared about it, or why her mother's gift suddenly attracted so much danger. But she was about to find out. The mystery of the pendant. The envelope lay on the small wooden table, its presence like a shadow hanging over the room. Anna sat silently, her hands pressed together, her chest rising and falling with uneven breaths. She had spent her whole life fighting battles in silence, but this storm was louder, heavier and crueler than anything she had faced before. Her mother's cough echoed from the corner, pulling her back to reality. Anna, don't let fear eat you alive. Her mother whispered, her voice thin but steady. That pendant was given for a reason. There is more to it than you think. Anna frowned, clutching the silver charm around her neck. Mom, what do you mean? Her mother's eyes shimmered with something Anna had never seen before. Regret. I never told you the full story. I thought it would only bring danger. But maybe now you need to know. Keanu leaned closer, his face serious but gentle. Elena, if there's something about the pendant, you can trust us. Anna deserves the truth. Her mother closed her eyes for a long moment, gathering strength. Years ago, before you were born, I found myself working as a nurse in a small private clinic. One night, a man was brought in. He was wealthy, powerful, and gravely ill. No one expected him to survive. I cared for him in secret while others turned away. When he recovered, he gave me this pendant as a symbol of his gratitude. He said it was more than silver. It was a key, and that if one day my family was in desperate need, the pendant would open doors that money and power alone could not. Anna's eyes widened. A key? To what? Her mother shook her head weakly. I never asked. I was afraid. I only knew that pendant carried weight in circles far beyond our world, and I told myself we'd never need to use it. But now, maybe it's time. Keanu's gaze darkened with thought. Then it explains why strangers are watching. Someone else knows what it means. Anna's chest tightened. But why now? Why after all these years? Keanu sighed. Because the world always circles back to hidden truths. You're firing. The pendant being noticed, the photo. It all pulled eyes onto you. And some of those eyes don't want to help. They want to take. Anna looked down at the charm in her palm. It felt heavier now, not just a gift, but a burden. Before she could speak, there was a loud knock at the door. Not the frantic pounding of reporters this time, but a single, firm sound. Keanu moved carefully to open it. Standing there was an older man in a dark coat. His face was lined with years, his hair silver at the edges, but his eyes were sharp and knowing. He looked directly at Anna. That pendant belongs to me. Anna stepped back instinctively. What? The man stepped inside, ignoring Keanu's tense stance. Your mother was given something she did not understand. That pendant was never meant to stay in your family. It holds secrets that must not be in the wrong hands. Keanu positioned himself between the man and Anna. And whose hands are the right ones? Yours? The man's lips curved in a faint, cold smile. Mine, because I know what it unlocks. And if you're smart, girl, you'll hand it over before others come who won't ask so politely. Anna's voice shook. Why do you want it? What does it unlock? The man's expression hardened. A legacy. Wealth, power, knowledge, all hidden away by the one who gave it to your mother. It is not meant for you. Anna felt her mother's weak hand reach for hers. Don't give it, she whispered, her voice trembling. It was given to us. It was meant to protect you, Anna. Keanu straightened, his voice low but firm. She's not giving you anything. If it was meant for her family, then it stays with her family. The older man's eyes narrowed, studying Keanu. You think your name and fame will shield you from what's coming? You're a fool. And with that, he turned sharply and left, the door closing behind him. Anna's heart thundered in her chest. Keanu, what do we do? If what Mom says is true and that man knows, then others will come too. What if we can't protect it? Keanu placed a steady hand on her shoulder. Then we don't run. We find out the truth ourselves. If your mother was told it was a key, then we need to discover what it opens before someone else does. Anna swallowed hard, looking at the pendant glimmering against her skin. For years, it had been nothing more than a small reminder of her mother's kindness. Now it had become the center of danger, mystery, and unwanted attention. Her mother whispered again, her strength fading. Anna, if you follow this path, it will not be easy. But sometimes the hardest paths lead to the brightest light. Anna held her hand tightly, tears burning her eyes. I don't want to lose you, Mom. Keanu's voice was steady, grounding her. And you won't, not if we fight together. But outside, under the streetlight, the shadowy man with the phone watched again, speaking quietly into his device. She still has it, and Reeves is protecting her. We'll have to force their hand. The storm was no longer just about humiliation or gossip. It had become a battle for something hidden, something powerful. And Anna, the girl who only wanted to survive, was now standing at the center of a secret much larger than herself. Dari. Choice. The days that followed were filled with fear and tension. Reporters still circled the building, though fewer than before, and whispers about Anna and Keanu spread online like wildfire. But the bigger fear wasn't the cameras. It was the men in the shadows, the ones who wanted the pendant. Keanu stayed close. He never left Anna or her family unprotected. He spoke softly with her mother, carried groceries for them, even helped her brother with schoolwork when the boy grew restless. Anna watched him, torn between gratitude and guilt. She had brought this storm into his life, yet he stood unshaken. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of orange and red, Keanu turned to Anna. We can't wait for them to strike again. We need to know what this pendant really unlocks. Your mother said it was a key. Maybe it's time to find the lock. Anna's hand instinctively touched the silver charm. It seemed to pulse faintly in the dying light. But where do we even begin? Her mother, weak but awake, whispered from her bed. The man who gave it to me spoke of a place. An old library, built by his family, hidden on the edge of the city. He said the pendant would open a box there. Keanu's eyes narrowed in thought. Then that's where we go. And so, late that night, Anna, Keanu, and her younger brother made their way to the abandoned library. Its stone walls were cracked, ivy curling around the windows, and its doors looked as though no one had touched them for decades. Inside, dust filled the air. Shelves of forgotten books leaned against one another, and broken glass crunched under their feet. Anna clutched the pendant tightly. Are we sure about this? Keanu nodded. Sometimes answers hide in silence. Let's listen. They searched for hours until finally, in the farthest corner beneath a broken staircase, Anna's brother called out, Anna, look! There, hidden behind a rotting shelf, was a wooden chest carved with the same crescent moon that matched her pendant. Anna's breath caught. Her hand shook as she brought the pendant close. The silver charm fit perfectly into a small indentation at the center of the chest. With a soft click, the chest unlocked. Inside was no treasure of gold or jewels. Instead, there were stacks of old letters, documents, and a single journal. Anna lifted one letter carefully. It bore the seal of the man her mother had once saved. Keanu read aloud softly. To the one who holds this, know that true wealth is not in money but in compassion. This chest contains the proof of charities, lands, and trusts set aside for those who live with dignity, but struggle in poverty. The pendant marks the bearer as guardian. It is not an inheritance. It is a responsibility. Use it to protect, not to gain. Anna's eyes filled with tears. The pendant wasn't meant to bring her shame or danger. It was meant to give her the power to help others, just as her mother had once helped Keanu. But before they could absorb it fully, footsteps echoed behind them. The older man in the gray suit appeared, flanked by two others. His eyes glimmered coldly. "Thank you for doing the hard work. Now hand it over." Anna clutched the chest, her heart pounding. "No. This was entrusted to my mother. To me." The man sneered. "What can a poor waitress do with such power? You'll waste it. Give it to someone who knows how to use it." Keanu stepped forward, his voice calm but sharp as steel. "She already knows how to use it. By caring. Something you'll never understand." The men advanced, but Keanu stood tall, refusing to move. Anna felt fear rise in her chest, but then she heard her mother's words in her mind. "Storms will pass. Hold on." And so she did. With trembling strength, Anna raised her voice. "This pendant doesn't belong to men who use fear and cruelty. It belongs to people who remember kindness. My mother saved a stranger with nothing but compassion. That is its power. And I will protect it, even if it costs me everything." For now, a moment. The library was silent. The men glared, but something in Anna's steady gaze held them back. They had expected weakness, not courage. Finally, the older man spat on the ground. "Fools, you'll regret this." He turned sharply, motioning for the others to leave. When they were gone, Anna collapsed to her knees, clutching the chest. Her tears flowed freely, but this time they were not from fear. They were from relief, from strength, from the knowledge that her mother's pendant had led her to her purpose. Keanu knelt beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "You were braver than anyone tonight. Your mother would be proud." Anna looked at him through her tears. "I was only strong because you stood with me." He gave a small smile. "That's what people are meant to do, stand with each other." In the days that followed, the truth spread. Anna was no longer just the waitress fired in front of everyone. She became the woman who carried her mother's legacy of compassion, entrusted with a responsibility greater than herself. And through every step, Keanu remained by her side. Not as a rescuer, but as a friend, a witness to her strength, and a reminder that kindness, no matter how small, could echo across lifetimes. The pendant rested against her heart, shining softly, not as a burden, but as a promise. Anna had been humiliated, broken, and pushed down, but she rose not through power or wealth, but through courage, dignity, and the light her mother had passed on to her. And that was a story no headline could twist, no stranger could steal, and no storm could erase.